morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are watching the Paris Fintech Forum Communities video interview series. I'm Elliott Gotkine, and today I'm joined by the co-founder and CEO of Spendesk, Rodolphe Ardant. Great to have you with us.
I'm very happy to be here, Elliott. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so before we get cracking, we're going to learn a little bit more about Spendesk. So, Rodolphe, tell us what Spendesk does.
So we are on a very simple mission, Elliott. We liberate businesses and all their employees from all the constraints of payment at work. So what Spendesk does, it's really providing a finance for businesses to give employees access to the company payment method when they need to spend, when they need to purchase something for their company, while finance teams get all the control, the automation, the compliance on all these financial streams and make sure that they get their job done in a very easy way.
Okay, and in January you raised, I think, an additional 100 million euros to your C round, becoming a unicorn in the process. What more can you tell us about revenues, growth, valuation, and the like at Spendesk?
Yes, that was the news on the past months. We were super happy to announce an extension of Series C just after 6 months after it happened, being led by General Atlantic. So this extension was led by Tiger Global for an additional 100 million euro. So our total Series C was 200 million euros at a unicorn valuation. I think it really shows the progress we've made, but more importantly, the potential of this market, why every business, every company, and particularly the mid-market SMB segment start to transform themselves on how they can equip finance with the right tools to work with their team in a very modern way.
And what's the money for?
Look, we've got very, very ambitious plan, Elliott. Our ambition is really to become this new norm, this new standard on how people pay at work. We're still at the very beginning of our journey, and we started 5 years ago with this crazy idea saying, okay, payment at work, it's a terrible experience for everyone, and everyone is living in this status quo. When you think about, just the expense management process, it's like something we don't understand how it's possible in the 21st century, and thinking on how we can decentralize this spending across this company, how we can help people to have more autonomy when we're talking about something that is such sensible than company money. And in 5 years, I think we started to create this category, this new way of doing things, and which we have shown a very strong traction in the market. And when we look at the 5 years coming, it's really, I think we are in a position where we are leading the charge, leading this transformation that is happening for finance team. And so we've got very, very ambitious plan, particularly in developing the business in Europe. Our teams from 400 today is going to reach more than 1,000 people in the next 2 years. So we've got a strong need of investments, obviously, in hiring and building this team, in penetrating our core market, France, Germany, the UK today, and tomorrow the rest of Europe. And 3, continuing to lead the charge in terms of innovation regarding product, regarding payment capabilities for businesses to have more facility exchanging goods and services between each other.
Okay, and briefly, if you can, Rodolphe, you're not a bank, but do you ultimately see yourself becoming more like one or as close to being one as possible without having a banking license? What's the plan in adding more services like maybe loans and travel options, for example?
No, we're not a bank, and we're not seeing yourself as competing with bank. I believe Spendesk is really the operating system. So the system that people operate, the stakeholders operate, being finance team, being employees, being budget owners in the company. And this operating system stands between banks that companies have, which is where your cash is, and the repository of your financial data, which is your accounting system or your ERP. And Spendesk is really this OS, this system that you operate, that through how people pay and access the company money, streamline this data from bank to the accounting system. So to answer your question, we are more partnering with banks. We are a layer on top of the banks and on top of the accounting system of businesses that manage all the interfaces on which all the stakeholders of the company, all the employees can pay or access the company money.
Okay, so look, we've heard about Spendesk. Let's now get to know Rodolphe a little bit better. Now, Rodolphe, you're I think an electrical engineer by training. Was that the original plan to kind of become an engineer?
I graduated as an engineer. I love solving problems. I was kind of into science as a kid. But starting my career as an entrepreneur, Elliott, just after school, I launched my first business where, honestly, I think I made all the mistakes that an engineer can do in building their business. The biggest one being creating a very good technical solution that we love developing with a lot of technical challenge that was not solving any business problem. But that's how we learn, and we ended up doing something that worked super well, got acquired by Solocall in 2013. So being an engineer and coming to engineers, I think it gave me this ability to build things and see the impact of actions and decisions, and see that, I had this ability to solving problem using technology.
Right, but I mean, you've gone to university. You're doing, I guess, what all parents want their children to do, to become a professional, an engineer, or a doctor, or a lawyer, or what have you. But you immediately went into founding your own business. I mean, how did that come about? Was your family supportive? Did they think that you're crazy? Why don't you just work as an engineer now you've qualified as one?
It's very interesting because, particularly in France, coming from this, very good academic background of top-notch engineering school in France, you are expected to, and particularly 15 years ago, you're really expected to go start building your career in the big corporations or consulting or banks, and there's been a shift since then that we can talk a little more. So when we had this idea saying, okay, we want to be an entrepreneur with my friend at that time, and so with this. I think one of the drivers we had was really the freedom and the capacity to solve problems that other people had. It was a surprise for my environment, for my parents. I think out of a promotion of 500 people out of school, we were 5 engineers in this promotion. So it was very, very small. But I had always had the full support from my family, my parents, and my entourage.
What did they do, your parents?
Hi, my father was working in banking at BNP Paribas in the retail bank, and my mother, she's a pharmacist.
Okay, so the finance, maybe there's a little continuity there from your father's side. But I mean, Spendesk itself, I think, was initially created inside a kind of studio called eFounders, and you were kind of brought in to become the founder and CEO. I know this isn't your first startup, as we discussed. You were brought in to turn this idea into reality. Can you tell us a bit more about, being born inside a studio and perhaps how different it is or was than maybe someone who founds a startup kind of on their own and then has to go off and get the investment and the like?
Yeah, totally, Elliott. I think having been an entrepreneur once, I love this job. And I know this is the job that I want to do. However, I know how much resilience, how much energy this job is asking. And so when I was starting to think about the Spendesk idea, I really started to get these self-reflections toward, okay, why would I restart a business? What I'm trying to accomplish. And it started to become very clear for me that I were to restart a business to really make a difference, so really building something that could be the new norm on something, that could be the new standard on something. And payment at work was this kind of scope or problem that was really exciting me. And the second one for me was really, I was really to restart a business if I had the capability to create, or the opportunity to create, a great organization, a company that would be for the long term, that people who work for this company or have been working for this company would really see as one of the best moments of their professional career. And when I think, okay, this is my goal, so I need to understand very quickly if the problem I'm working on have the potential, the problem I wanted to solve very initially was how I can spend 100% of my time, 100% of my bandwidth to understand the problem that people are having and building the right solution towards that, and avoiding, all these bandwidth that is taken in the early stage that I experienced before in administrative tasks in building the business, looking for the first funding, looking for the first teammates, etc. And that's when I met the guys at eFounders that had a project that was a really good first break towards this vision on solving payment at work, and where the value proposition was very appealing to me as an entrepreneur, which was, hey, I'm going to give you resource from day one, allowing you to be really 100% focused on solving the problem and building their first product. And it allowed me to understand, to say, okay, this will allow me to stretch this timeline towards understanding the problem, the size of the market of the problem we're solving, and if we were up to an opportunity that could make a difference. And this collaboration was super great. It really accelerated this path, particularly in innovation, when you are exploring the unknown, bringing us the capability to actually build something with a professional quality in the very early days that started to tell us, hey, you are on something that could really become big.
Okay, so look, a key part of this interview is to get your take on the future of finance. But first, we are going to take a very quick break, after which we're going to continue our conversation with Spendesk co-founder and CEO, Rodolphe Ardant. Welcome back, and don't forget, if you're not already a full member of our community, everything you need to join can be found at www.parisfintechforum.com. Okay, now Rodolphe, let's talk about the future of finance. Spendesk is very much a business-to-business fintech. Do you think it's easier building a B2B fintech compared with a B2C? Why did you opt to go down the B2B route?
That's a very good question, Elliott. Is it easier or harder? I would not say it's easier. I wouldn't say it harder. It's just the different problem you're solving or the different persona you solve. For us, the idea of Spendesk really comes from a personal point, something that I've been experienced in my previous company, and they were telling me, okay, something is broken there. We can start thinking on how we can solve. The advantage, though, of a B2B business is very quickly on, you start having revenue streams that make the unit economics of your business very, very solid. The downside is, you change the ways people are doing things. So it's in particular on our market, it requires a lot of evangelization, of change management, which is the macro trend that we're following with Spendesk, this consumerization of our ways of working. But all the businesses are not there yet. So we are leading this transformation. We are leading this change, which makes the penetration of the market, and particularly when we are targeting SMB, which is very fragmented, very consumer kind of acquisition model in a way, pretty hard. So, for me, B2B is more about, okay, I'm trying to solve a pain which is inside businesses. I believe there is a huge opportunity there when we look at the the future of finance, and particularly in fintech, I think this revolution happened first in the B2C space, and now it starts to happen in the B2B. This is the drive, actually. It's because we have this experience with our own personal finance that gets so much better that we start expecting the same in the workplace, and so driving the change on how people collaborate, how they work together, and creating the opportunity to change and to rebuild the systems.
Okay, but of course, there are so many products, technology products, fintechs and the like, and services for business now. Perhaps when you began, there was more of a kind of clear blue ocean in front of you. Do you have any sense that the segment is getting a bit overcrowded now?
Not at all, honestly. I think we can see from the innovator's point, but I think it's a good way. It means we've got many people at the same time that are evangelizing this market and getting this change. But honestly, Elliott, most of the conversation, and when I'm saying most, is 99% of the conversations we're having with businesses or with prospects, they just have nothing. And they're striving to find something that can help them, just because, again, there is a pressure coming in from our behaviors, from our ways of working for change. We cannot work in the 21st century in the way we work in the 20th one.
Right, but it does make one wonder why there is still a need for, say, Spendesk. Why aren't legacy banks or traditional accounting software products getting their act together as they perhaps have done in the B2C space?
This is a very good question. I think it's more about the capabilities and of these solution providers. They have a role, and they have a role in the future. It's not about a market that is shifting from one hand to the other. It's a new market. And that's important to think. We are not taking market share from banks or taking market share from accounting system. We are creating a market on a new need, which is how people collaborate together. And I don't believe banks or I don't believe accounting systems are equipped to lead this charge. It's a different ways of building software. And particularly when we think about this operating system for payment at work, it's really require unique skill set, both in the fintech industry, so really integrating payments into the workflows, and the top-notch consumer expertise in software. So if you want to build these workflows, if you want to build these optimal financial streams and financial management for businesses, this is the kind of expertise that you need to have.
Okay, and more broadly speaking, economies are growing again, but inflation and interest rates are rising. We've seen, of course, Russia invade Ukraine earlier this year, and financial markets have been volatile, to say the least. Is this a good time to be a fintech? Is this the best time, the worst time? Is it just kind of par for the course?
This is a very great question. The honest answer, I don't know, so I'm going to give my conviction here. I think it is. We are really in a world where, when we look at the opportunity, it's clear that the economy of tomorrow will not look like the economy of yesterday. And so just talking about SMB or the mid-market or these companies, the ways of working, the providers, everything starts to change and driven by our expectation on how we reinvent works together. So this creates tremendous opportunity, both on the financial world or even and also in the equipment worlds, for new players to reinvent or to invent this future and become these future big players of tomorrow's economy. So yeah, for me, this kind of volatility, this kind of crisis that happens creates the potential opportunities actually to reinvent and disrupt the current system.
Okay, so Rudolph, look, in 2019, French President Emmanuel Macron promised that by 2025, there would be 25 French unicorns. Earlier this year, you became number 26, prompting the president to give you a shout out. How did that make you feel?
Very proud towards what have been accomplished so far. For me, it was a milestone. This was the ambition from day one, and being at the unicorn type of valuation was more clearly a milestone toward the ambition that we have of becoming this new standard, this new norm of payment at work. I'm very, very thankful of what the government have been driven, honestly, in the past 5 years for the tech ecosystem in France. I'm looking at how the ecosystem was when I exited school 15 years ago, and how it was when I started Spendesk. Just to give you this example, Elliott, out of my promotion of École Polytechnique in 2027, I think we were 5 entrepreneurs out of this 500 people promotion. When you take people exiting this type of school today, you've got, I would say, 15 or 20% of the promotion either launching their own business or working in tech. So this ecosystem is booming. The ambitions of entrepreneurs is there. The support from the government is there. The capital to develop this idea is there. And we're starting to have the generation of employees having been there before. So this is only going to be, to me, an acceleration of what we can accomplish in France and in Europe.
And just for unicorn in French, is it unicorn? Is
a licorne. Licorne.
Unicorn. Okay. So look, time now for our rapid fire question round. Are you ready, Rodolphe?
Let's go.
So should we worry that many fintechs are not making a lot in terms of profits? Is that to be expected or something we should worry about?
If the system is solid, if the unit economics are solid, we should not worry. If it's just a stand, yeah, we should.
Okay. From your perspective, what fintech segment besides yours has the biggest potential over the next 5 years?
I think the how people access to credit and financing is very, very interesting.
Okay. What is the biggest pain point in your everyday financial life that you would like to see taken on or changed? You can pass if you don't have an answer.
No, I'm going to be a quick win. Homogenization across countries, and particularly bank accounts across countries.
Okay. Do you think we are at the beginning, middle, or end of the fintech wave?
Beginning.
Do you have a metaverse strategy?
No.
Do you think regulations in the US and EU have adapted fast enough to handle new possibilities and behaviors that we are seeing in the financial industry?
Not yet. We can do better.
How do you describe NFTs, non-fungible tokens? Are they A, a scam, B, an interesting concept, or C, part of the future that you do not want to miss out on?
Interesting concept.
Have you ever invested in crypto?
No.
Okay. Are physical points of sales part of the future of finance?
Yes, they are. Definitely.
Okay. And on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is the lowest, 10 is the highest, how would you rate the chances of the following things happening in the next 10 years? One of the neobanks will be as profitable as a top-tier legacy bank.
8.
CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, will become a mainstream reality in the US and EU.
4.
You'll be able to open a crypto account at a top-tier bank in addition to or instead of a classic cash account.
7.
SWIFT will still be the main tool for transferring money around the world.
3.
A new card or non-card rival will emerge to challenge Visa, MasterCard, Amex, etc.
9.
And finally, that we will see a top-tier bank or insurer bought by a fintech.
9.
Okay. Well, I'm afraid we are out of time. So really just want to thank you, Spendesk co-founder and CEO Rodolphe Ardant, for joining me today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elliott.
And for everyone watching, we will be back again next week with another big name from the world of finance and technology. We do hope you'll join us again then. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to the Paris Fintech Forum YouTube channel and to follow us on Twitter at Paris Fin Forum. That's all for now. See you next time. Bye-bye.